When I set out to make the history of one of the most beloved Muppet songs, I expected it to be a fun adventure. What I did not expect was to be confronted with nudity, moral questions, and lots of 1960s Aquanet hairdoos. So sit back and buckle up as we explore the background of one of the most well-known Muppet songs ever, Mahna Mahna. Do 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 do. Mahna Mahna. Nope, stop it. The first ever broadcast of the song Mahna Mahna wasn't on the Muppets. It wasn't even in the US. It was in Sweden. The artist Piero Umiliani, also known for such hits as Son of Django, Orgasmo, Gangster's Law, Death Knocks Twice, Five Dolls for an August Moon, Baba Yaga, The Slave, and Sexpot, was the author of Mahna Mahna. Piero was, and I quote the Wikipedia, like many of his Italian colleagues at the time, he composed scores for exploitation films in the 1960s and 1970s, covering such genres as spaghetti westerns, Europe Seas, giallos, and softcore sex films. He went on to write scores for Ocean's 12 and Miss Lovely, passing at the age of 71 in Rome. But his greatest hit, by a large margin though, was Mahna Mahna. As I mentioned, Mahna Mahna didn't make its debut on the Muppets. It made its debut in Sweden for a film called Svezia, Inferno e Paradiso. Sweden, Heaven and Hell. And I'm going to be honest here, it was real hard trying to find pictures and clips of this thing that were actually family friendly. And I saved those images for being burnt into your brain forever. You're welcome. This was a 1968 film about, and I'm quoting the wiki again, the film was made up of 9 segments focusing on different aspects of sexuality in Sweden, such as lesbian nightclubs, pornography, the swinging lifestyle of married couples, and the sex education of teenagers. It also examines drug addictions, alcoholism, and suicides in Sweden. As I researched this topic, I couldn't figure out if this was a real documentary or a mockumentary. It did ask questions about the morality of such a life and behavior, questions about what kind of society allows such things and the ramifications of that kind of behavior. In the end, I landed on it being a mockumentary since it didn't seem to take itself too seriously, but it was quite the ride nonetheless. As I had mentioned before, I didn't expect such a beloved children's song to have come from such origins. The track had a semi-debut in 1966, but it didn't make its real debut until 1968 in Heaven and Hell. Once released, the song became a hit in many countries due to it being a nonsense song, so it had no cultural or linguistic barriers. It topped at number 55 in the US and 12 in Canada in October of 1969. It was further popularized by the Red Skelton Show in October of 1969. That same year, Joanne Gantz Cooney, a Sesame Street producer, who, by the way, was a genius in her own right, heard the song on the radio and thought it would be a perfect song for the show. Joanne is credited for bringing the fast-paced segments seen in Rowan and Laugh-In to Sesame Street, which helped keep the kids' attention and also helped them learn a lot more. She is also the woman who brought in Jim Henson. If not for her, Sesame Street wouldn't be the cultural icon it is today. In November of 1969, Mahna Mahna made its first appearance on Sesame Street. And then a few days later, presented in a different way on The Ed Sullivan Show. After its success in both formats, the song popped up regularly, being seen on a special with Goldie Hawn and even in Vegas with Nancy Sinatra. With the song growing to be a cultural phenomenon, Jim knew it had to be a part of his first Muppet Show. In 1976, it was one of the big acts to help cement the Muppet Show as a top performer, also sending the song to number 8 on the UK charts. The act was more honed and precise, but kept its childlike charm. Since its debut, Mahna Mahna has shown up in various forms in the Muppet world. It even had a cover done by Cake, a popular 90s band, as well as by the band The Fray. To help understand the level of recognition this song has, it even appeared on the beloved British TV show, The Office. The song itself is amazing, but the Muppets added a certain magic to it. The first airing, on Sesame Street, shows 2 Anything Muppets being approached by Bip Bippadota, who begins the famous Mahna Mahna. It's a subdued version of what we know now, but its appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show gave us more of what we know now as Mahna Mahna. The Ed Sullivan version was a perfect microcosm of Jim and his bohemian, culturally subversive attitude. You have two conformists, the Snouts, on the side singing in unison, angry that Mahna Mahna strays from his part. Eventually, Mahna Mahna loses control and starts running around screaming his lines, a clear strike at those forcing conformity on the more free-spirited of the 60s and 70s. In Street Gang, Michael Davis's history of Sesame Street, several of Henson's co-workers call his style as affectionate anarchy, and we can't see it any clearer than right here. The song went on to sail across the world, being seen in commercials, Super Bowls, TV shows, other songs, and remade somehow in other languages, which is odd for a song without words. The Hebrew version was changed to para para, or cow by cow, retranslated into English. There was even a disco version and a heavy metal version. In the end, Mahna Mahna was a song that came from strange origins to become one of the catchiest songs in history. It showed us the genius of those who saw it for what it was, as well as how an artist can make a song about nothing mean something rather special after all.